Okay, so now let's look at a couple of examples, things that you'll see similarly on the MyLabs Plus assignment. So, looking at the example on the study guide, it says use the given graph of the function f to answer these questions. So we're going to look at some values of the function and different characteristics of the graph. So let's look at letter A. And letter A says find f of negative 12 and f of 0. Okay, so what does this mean? Find f of negative 12. This says when x is equal to negative 12, what is y or f of x? Because remember, every point on that graph is x, f of x. So this means negative 12, f of negative 12 is on the graph. So when you're asked what is f of negative 12, that means I want to look for the ordered pair where x is negative 12, and I want to find that y value. So as I look down here at the graph, I can see, okay, this is the point where x is negative 12. So when x is negative 12, f of negative 12 is negative 6. So when x equals negative 12, f of x is equal to negative 6. So now let's do the same with 0. So this is telling me to find the ordered pair when x is 0, and then I want to identify the y coordinate. So as I look, okay, so when x is 0, y is 6. Okay, let's take a look at letter B. Is f of 10 positive or negative? Okay, so f of 10. So I want to identify when x equals 10. Well, let's see, this point is 12, 0. So 10 on the x-axis must come before that. So let's see, if this is 10, is f of 10, so f of 10 would be the y value of the ordered pair when x is 10. So, is it positive or negative? If it's positive, it means that corresponding ordered pair would be above the x-axis. If it's negative, then the graph would lie below the x-axis. Since when x equals 10, the graph lies above the x-axis, that means that f of 10 would be a positive value. Okay, letter C. How often does the line y equals 4 intersect the graph? Well, remember, what does y equals 4 look like? Y equals 4 means every point on the graph has a y value of 4. So it is a horizontal line through 4 on the y-axis. So y equals 4 would be this line. So that means that every point on that line has a y value of 4. And it intersects the graph in 1, 2 places. Okay, letter D. For what values of x does f of x equal negative 4? So for what values of x does f of x equal negative 4? So we're looking for y values of negative 4. So that means negative 4 would be down here. So let's see, it looks like there would be a y value of negative 4, maybe somewhere around here. So let's see, if this is negative 6, actually if you look on your picture on the pink, I just didn't write that point down. This point, according to your graph, is negative 10, negative 4. So to answer the question, for what values of x does f of x equal negative 4? Well, we have a value right here, negative 10, and then actually, even though my graph, I didn't copy it as closely as the one on your paper, but the point here is marked on your paper 16, -4. So that means there are 2 points that have y values of -4. So those corresponding x values to answer the question would be x equals 16 and x equals -10. Okay, so last question, domain and range. So since this graph actually stops here and here, when I'm considering domain, remember I'm looking right and left. So when I identify the domain, I want to find the leftmost x value for my starting point. So the leftmost x value is -12, and then the rightmost x value is 22. So the domain is -12 to 22. Now for the range, again I'm thinking up and down. So I want to find the smallest y value to start with. So it looks like the smallest y value is -6, and then the highest y value is +8. So domain and range in interval notation. Okay, so now if you turn your page, there is another example. You're given another graph, and you're asked to identify a couple of different things: domain and range, intercepts, and symmetry. All things that we've talked about so far. So I'm going to leave this example as a you try. So I want you to fill this one out on your own, and we'll talk about it in class when we reconvene.